everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as 4BX257, here to bring you another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review, and today I'll be taking a look at the Cobra Bazooka Man, the 1989 H.E.A.T Viper. H.E.A.T being an acronym for High Explosive Anti-Tank Rounds, which are appropriate to someone who handles a rocket tube all the time. Now, the H.E.A.T Vipers don't make any cartoon appearances, but they make their first comic book appearance in the old Marvel comic run of G.I. Joe in issue number 96.
First, we'll take a look at the H.E.A.T Viper's main weapon, his rocket launcher. I'll just have to unhook it at 2 points here. A highly detailed fantasy weapon, not really based on any real-world rocket launcher. The contents list on the card actually calls this a bazooka. Yeah, I can hear all the military aficionados cringing right now. But to be fair, a bazooka is just really a nickname for any large anti-tank or rocket launcher tube. I know a lot of people tend to think of a bazooka as being specifically the M1 or M9 anti-tank rocket launcher from World War II. But yeah, I mean it's just it's just really a nickname. So I suppose you could apply it to just about any rocket launcher if you wanted to. One really interesting thing about this is that it actually has sculpted on the name Fang on here, leading a lot of people to actually call this the Fang rocket launcher, even though that's not what it's called on the contents list or even on the card. Next, attached to his legs are, well, quote-unquote bazooka shells. As you can see, there is a peg here, specifically for the pegs on his legs, and there are 6 of them. So they just go all around his legs, except for the inside, because that would be kind of awkward. Now, attached to the side of his head, by a very simple peg here, is what's called the eyepiece. Now you'll also notice that the figure's head only has a visor on one side of his helmet. And while that is obviously quite limiting, the whole point of the matter is that this eyepiece is supposed to attach here, and he's actually supposed to look through this thing from the left side of his head, or his left eye. So basically, when this thing is attached to the rocket launcher, by these 2 pegs here, his left eye is actually right here, right by the tip of the barrel of the rocket launcher. Another thing he has is this, it's a standard 3-inch G.I. Joe hose, which is attached to a peg right there on his shoulder. And that's attached to right here on the front of the rocket launcher. And this is very, very strange because it's not actually this is not actually listed on the contents list. So a lot of people just assume that it's another electronic piece just hooked onto the bazooka to make it a little more techy. But the fact of the matter is that there is actually a reference to it on his file card. You can see it has the harness supported launch tube. So the only way to attach this really to the figure is by this piece. And last but not least, we have his very unusual backpack. Again, it's not really stated what this thing is for, but it has a lot of spikes and all types of things. It has a little vent, almost like an exhaust pipe on here. Now, I understand there's a lot of collectors out there who really can't get behind the look of this action figure. He has that pale orange jumpsuit, which I know a lot of collectors they don't like bright colors on their military action figures. I totally understand that. But when you think about it, his outfit is actually kind of heavily wrinkled. There's a lot of implied padding here. So I'm kind of thinking that this is not just any old outfit he's wearing. It's actually a blast-proof or fireproof jumpsuit. And sometimes you do get those in real life in bright colors just for a hazard duty. So I'm kind of inclined to believe that's the origin of where, where they came up with the color scheme for this guy. I mean, sure, he has like dark purple and gray, so that's a nice complement to the orange. I find a lot of collectors don't like displaying the Heat Viper holding his rocket launcher this way, even though this is the official way to do it. He's holding the rocket launcher at his hip, which is a very unusual position for any type of large weapon, much less a rocket launcher. I'm not sure what advantage there would be to holding it so low on his body, but well, that's the official way, really. Of course, you have the Fang symbol just sort of written in there, meaning that this is the upright way to do it, but some people actually position it this way, making the Fang thing upside down. As a matter of fact, in the comic books, there is one panel where this guy just puts it on his shoulder, as you should with a rocket launcher, and actually written in the thing upside down, just to indicate that the artist was aware that the guy was holding it incorrectly and firing it incorrectly as well. The Heat Viper is a fairly common figure on the aftermarket, so you should be able to find him with all of his accessories and for a reasonable price. But you do have to look out for whether he has all 6 of his rockets. As far as the figure is concerned, he is actually a fairly sturdy figure. He has a peg on the side of his head as well as on his shoulder. You would think that those would break off fairly easily, but they don't really. What you do have to look out for is whether or not the pegs on his boots are still there. Strangely enough, these thick pegs are what breaks off more often than not on a Heat Viper, which is very strange. Another very interesting thing about the figure is his paint job. Even though it seems very thick and sturdy, his paint job actually rubs off rather easily. I don't know if it's because of the amount of accessories which scrape up against him or something, but I've often found that his arms, especially around his shoulders and his hands, are often just scraped off of their paint jobs. So that's something you might want to look out for as well. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind-the-scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.